Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. This is your brother Lawrence. The NAD Leadership Summit for 2025 is ongoing, and Pastor Calvin gave an incredible lecture about leadership yesterday that I think all SDA leaders, church leaders, need to hear. Christian leadership is not about title, it's not about position, it's not about popularity, but it is also, or it is about stability, friends. So let's listen to Pastor Calvin on his lecture concerning leadership in the church.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good to be here. Do I have presence? Yes. All right. Hey, well, listen, let's get right into it. There's a reason why you see me walking with those crutches. I tore my calf muscle real bad, and I was in the bed for 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm doing better now. Last week, I was walking without my crutches, but yesterday I fell, and I felt another pull in the back here, so I said I better put my crutches on. My son, who is a physician, said, "Dad, don't try to be cute. Walk with your crutches or a cane." He said, "Your core of your body has been damaged. That means your structure has been damaged. And when there is no structure, there's no stability." I want to talk about structure and stability. If you don't have structure, you will not have stability. And if you don't have stability, you have no structure. And that's what I want to talk about in the next 10 or 15 minutes here. Why is it important? Stability, structure, accountability, and responsibility. Building foundations that hold in uncertain times. You see a foundation there. No matter what position you serve in the church, as a local leader, a pastor, you have to have a strong core or a strong foundation. You can have a beautiful building, but it doesn't mean that it's built on a strong foundation. Some structures and some organizations are built on personalities. That's why you see certain churches and certain denominations and mega churches that have huge ministries. But once the leader goes, there goes the church or the organization. And I could give you 4 or 5 names, but because this is on the internet and I don't want to be sued, I will not give any names. So you have to have a strong foundation, if you're going to be a leader. Now, these 4 needs of followers: hope, trust, compassion, and stability. Stability is the need for psychological safety and secure foundations during times of uncertainty. If you look at those 4 columns there, the one that's the most important, that most people don't believe is important, according to the Gallup poll, is the one called stability. But if the foundation is built on sands, everything else falls down. So if you are a leader, you have to build strong, stable foundations in order for trust and hope and every other pillar to stand. You wonder why some churches don't stand or why there's no organization. It's because they don't have a core foundation. They don't have a strong foundation. Why stability matters for followers. Number one, if you have an organization, if you have a church, if you lead, you have to have an organization that reduces fear. If I belong to your organization, if I belong to your church, and I don't know what tomorrow is going to happen, what's going to happen tomorrow, if I have no forecast of what you're trying to do or where you're trying to take me, it causes fear. If you have a strong foundation, it builds confidence. People follow confident people. Am I right about it? If you're unsure of yourself, followers want leaders who are sure, who are self-confident, not arrogant, but confident in their abilities. It strengthens resilience. Predictability and responsible leadership reduces fear, increases confidence, and strengthens collective resilience. Number one, you've got to know what's coming down the pike. If you look on the shore, you can look at that picture. You don't know if that's a windstorm, a sandstorm, but if you are a leader, you have to make people see what's coming. You have to be able to see before it gets to them. That's what people expect of leaders. And then once you know, you don't become what do you call that word? You don't just react. You're able to think it through and make plans. Now, Dr. Williams talked about this morning. It is interesting to note that when you look and you ask people what gives them confidence, who has played the most important part in your life, Ivan, I saw the same thing you saw. The one that they have confidence in the least is religious leaders. When it comes to stability, it's off the charts. The graph doesn't even record it. If it comes under 4, it doesn't even record it. People look to us for stability, but they will look to politicians. They will look to celebrities. They'll bypass religious leaders. And I wonder why. Maybe it's because we have not modeled well enough good leadership. A case study in stable leadership for followers. From chaos to community. You will remember when the children of Israel left the ghettos of Goshen. There were 3 to 5 million of them. They had no organizational structure. There was complete chaos. Chaos. Can you imagine people who never thought for themselves? People who the Egyptians made all the decisions for them. All of a sudden, they are free. Following a man named Moses. He couldn't lead all of them, so he sat down and he organized them. He built a structure in Exodus chapter 18. He modeled accountability in Numbers 20. He embraced responsible leadership. What did Moses do? Exodus 18:21. Select capable men and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, 50s, and 10s. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to be a leader, you've got to be capable. Because you're related to somebody doesn't make you a capable leader. Because you have a title doesn't make you a capable leader. Because you were elected doesn't make you a capable leader. Ellen White says that a sharper blade cuts better than a dull blade. Leaders have to be sharp. People need and respond to structure. People look for leaders. I never will forget 1982, I was running a meeting in Jamaica. In the middle of the meeting, baptismal day, a man possessed. He ran in the meeting in the clothes he was born in. And he had a bad runny problem. I won't tell you what that is. But he was throwing stuff all over. And people were running from side to side. I was probably about 21 years old. I was in the back about to come out to preach. They came back and said, we need you, we need you, we need you. You're the preacher, we need you to come out. I had just gotten out of college. I peeked through the curtain, saw the man running through the audience. I saw the audience running from side to side, afraid of this man. They kept saying, Pastor, can you come out? Can you come out? I was unprepared for that. So you know what I did? I stayed in the back. I prayed, but I didn't go out. I was not prepared for that leadership role. 30 years later, I faced a similar situation in Atlanta, Georgia, and I stepped up to the plate because I had been prepared for that. People need and respond to structure. If your organization, if your church, if the department that you head is unorganized, people will not buy into your leadership. Accountability. Listen to what Moses says again, talking about Accountability. Leaders create accountability by holding self and others responsible for performance. So, if the people who work underneath me fail, guess what? I fail. In the military, you can be a general, you can be a colonel, but if that sergeant runs an exercise and somebody dies, guess who's going to be held responsible? Not only the sergeant, but that colonel also. So if you're a leader, you have to be willing to take responsibility. Leaders create accountability by holding themselves and others responsible for performance. Responsibility, look at what Moses says. Please forgive their sins, but if not, blot me out. Now that's a responsible leadership, am I right? A leader. After they built that statue made of gold, that golden calf, he chastised them, and then he pleaded to God, Lord, forgive their sins, but if not, blot me out. Leaders have to take responsibility serious. Order is heaven's first law. God requires order and systems in his work, now no less than in the days of Israel. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 376. God requires order. We cannot do things as leaders as we did things 50 or 60 years ago. We're living in a different time and a different age. People are exposed to technology. If you're going to have your church on television or on the internet and you've got somebody playing the piano, make sure they can play the piano. Because people see worship at a higher level now. If you got a lady, no matter how great her desire is to praise God and sing, the Sabbath service is not for her to audition. Talking about responsible leadership. I mean, 40 years ago, I pastored a church. I had a lady, and she was playing the piano, and she was playing with 2 fingers. That just won't work today. The S.A.R. model for followers. Number 1, structure, clarity. Clarity. People need to know where you're taking them, where you're leading them. It prevents confusion. Number 2, accountability. Integrity prevents drift. Have you ever seen a church or an organization? Everybody's going in different directions. Sabbath school going that way. Personal ministries going that way. Women's ministry going that way. You have to have integrity. It prevents drifts. Responsibility. Ownership prevents fear. Benefits of a strong structure. It increases productivity. One of the things and one of the criticisms that we get as God's people is that people don't know where we stand anymore. They don't know what we believe anymore. It increases creativity, strong structure. It leads to a better work environment. Workers are 9 times more likely to stay on their job once you have that strong structure. Members don't skip from church to church once there's a strong structure in the church. People have options today. But if you have a strong structure in your church, it doesn't matter who's there or who goes. In some churches, as I said, they are personality driven. Churches that have strong structure are not personality driven. How to arrive at stability? Bring it home. It has to become a top priority. You've got to stabilize your organization. If you're a pastor, if you lead, if you're a personal ministry leader, if you're Sabbath school leader, whatever your position, you have to make sure that stability is your top priority. Leaders must take a self-assessment. I found out most of the times when I was a conference president and people would call me down to their churches and they wanted to talk, and the pastor would come to the office, he would tell me about the members, only to find out that most of the time the problem was with the leader and not the people. All right, with the leader. So you have to be honest about yourself. Take a good look at yourself as a leader. People want leaders, followers want leaders who can be honest about who they are, who can recognize their strengths and their weaknesses. Leaders must be flexible in leadership style. One size doesn't fit all. We're probably one of the most diverse, we are the most diverse denomination, I think, in the country. We have people from everywhere. I can't pastor another group of people the way that I pastor people who look like me. I can't lead people the same way. All right? I have a friend, he was in, I won't tell you the conference he was. He was one of my pastors. He left and he went to pastor a church somewhere in Kansas. When he left, I said, man, let me give you some counsel. You can't pastor these people the way you pastored the church you're leaving. He went there and he tried to pastor them. He got mad because they called him by his first name. It became a big problem. Big problem. He lasted about 6 months, and he was gone. Leaders must be flexible. One size doesn't fit all. That's what members want. Leaders must be actively engaged with followers. Leaders must lead from the floor, not from the tower. Very important. Not from the tower, but from the floor where people are. That's the way Jesus led. I've searched the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, but I never found Jesus in a conference office. Now, these theologians, Jose may, not Hosea, but Jose may have that text, but I've not found it yet. You lead from the floor. Followers must be heard. Good leaders have good ears. All right? Closing thoughts. He will be the sure foundation for your times. Isaiah 33:6. Stability isn't about standing still. It's about standing what, everybody? Standing strong. That's what stability is, standing strong. If you look, let me go back one. Okay? If you look, you'll see the bridge there. And I don't know how to get that bridge to move, so. Okay, you see it blowing? Which bridge do you want to be on? What kind of leader do you want to be? All right? Would you choose number 1, the Golden Gate Bridge, or number 2? How many of you would go with the bridge that's standing still? Let me see your hands. How many would try to walk across the other bridge? All right, I got you. The bridge on the left, the one that's standing still, has never been tested. But the bridge to your right, when the wind came, what did it do? It was flexible and it held up. That's what good leaders are. No matter what comes your way, you've got to be able to stand the storm. God bless you, everybody. And if that doesn't work, every good leader always has some stability. And if you don't have stability, get you some. That's structure to build your foundation.
All right, friends, I think that was a great lecture about leadership. And, the SDA Church was raised to prepare the world for the second coming of Christ. But, whenever there is leadership crisis in the church, the mission slows down, outreach becomes weak, members become discouraged, and there is a lot of fighting and division in the church. So what I want to say is that we need to learn from Jesus Christ, because he is the best leader we can ever learn from. Okay, and Ellen G. White also has this to say. She wrote in Prophets and Kings, the path of the men who are placed as leaders is not an easy one, but they are to see in every difficulty a call to prayer. Never are they to fail of consulting the great source of all wisdom. Strengthened and enlightened by the master worker, they will be enabled to stand firm against unholy influences and to discern right from wrong, good from evil. They will approve that which God approves and will strive earnestly against the introduction of wrong principles into his cause. This is so true. So, any leader in the church that is so connected to Christ will always approve what Jesus approves and will deny what Jesus denies. All right. So this is a very interesting quote from Ellen G. White. So friends, let us keep all our leaders in our prayers, because whenever the devil wants to attack the church, he attacks first the leaders. And if he is able to get the leaders, it will be easy for him to also get the followers. All right. So friends, let me know what you think about the leadership summit that was shared by Pastor Calvin. I think that was a good one. Praise be to God. This is all I had to share with you today. There are some more stories coming up, so don't go anywhere. Stay right here. God bless.